Spoilers ahead. Watch out, and take care. The movie begins with Will, the kid of two superhero parents, the Commander and Jetstream. Will is expected to join them in saving the planet one day. Today is Will's first day at Sky High, a high school for superheroes. His father receives a phone call from the mayor, telling him that he must depart with his mother to save the planet. However, before departing, he informs Will that most of the pupils at the high school have one superhero parent, rather than two, so he cautions him not to brag too much. Will watches the news on TV with his friend Layla, as his parents kill a gigantic robot. Later, Will and Layla board the school bus. Will tries to keep a low profile on the bus, but it fails, and he receives special treatment. They discover it's not a regular bus once the vehicle drives off a ramp and plummets, terrifying all the kids on board. But then the bus morphs into a plane and takes off. They arrive at the high school, which is floating in the sky. The location of the school is kept hidden, to prevent villains from discovering it. Newcomers immediately notice the older students on campus displaying various impressive superpowers. Some of them can be seen flying, some have laser vision, and others have the ability to freeze people. Cheerleaders do a cheer routine for the newcomers as they arrive on campus. By the end, the new pupils find that only one cheerleader has the ability to duplicate herself. The cheerleader appears friendly, but not all of the other students do. Every school in the world including Sky High has bullies. Two bullies approach the freshmen, and demand a $15 fee from each student. Fortunately for the freshmen, the student body president chases them away. Will can't stop looking at Gwen, he is smitten by her at first sight, much to Layla's dismay. Before the freshmen can begin classes, they must pass a power test. The exam results will determine if they are heroes or sidekicks. Each student gets up on stage and displays their superpower for the teacher, who then determines which group they belong to after examining everything. Will is forced to admit to the teacher that he has no idea what his superpower is. The teacher doesn't believe him, and drops a car on Will, who falls to the ground and stops just in time to avoid killing the boy. When the teacher sees this, he assigns Will to be a sidekick. In the nurse's office, she informs Will of the sobering potential that, like Sky High's bus driver, he may never obtain superpowers. Will intends to tell his father the truth about his lack of superpowers after school, but his father takes him to the secret sanctum before he can do so. The secret chamber is furnished with scientific instruments and mementos from his parents' greatest battles. Seeing them, Will loses the guts to tell his father that he has no idea what kind of superpower he possesses, or worse, that he possesses no superpowers at all. Meanwhile, the robot head from the morning's battle sits on a chair in the secret sanctum, while two unknown figures peer through a monitor at Will and his father. Next day, students are learning about being sidekicks in class, and one student wants to know when they will be able to choose their superhero names. Much to their dismay, it turns out that sidekicks do not get to choose their own names or costumes. All of this is determined by the hero with whom they are matched after graduation. Their teacher was formerly the commander's sidekick. Students begin to acclimate to life at Sky High, learning how to use various gadgets, such as nets and utility belts, and how to transform them into costumes and poses. Will befriends the other sidekicks in his class. One night, they are studying at his house. His father arrives home early. He meets Will's friends and discovers their abilities. His father is unimpressed, and tells him that being a sidekick is not a bad thing. He attempts to recall the name of his own sidekick, but is unable to do so. Will finds the courage to inform him that he too is a sidekick. His father is quite disappointed. Enraged, the commander bangs his fist against the kitchen counter, causing all of the items to leap. His father then blames the instructor who administered the test, believing that he merely made Will a sidekick out of pettiness. He picks up the phone to call the school to protest, but he is too furious to control his rage, and smashes the phone. Will then tells him that it is not his teacher's fault, but the truth is that he is inept. His father eagerly promises him that the day will come when he too will have powers, but Will replies that he doesn't care, because he is proud to be a sidekick. His parents struggle to accept their disappointment, however, they realize that being a family is just as vital as being a superhero family. The next day, school bullies use their power to taunt the bus driver. Will, despite his lack of power, stands up to the bullies. Despite knowing that he will face the repercussions, he stands up to them. At lunch, the bullies exact their vengeance by tripping him, causing him to spill his food over Warren. Warren is both a superhero and a villain, and Will's father was the one who imprisoned Warren's father. He gets upset at Will for tossing his food at him, and continues to fling fireballs at Will, who dodges and attempts to flee by crawling beneath a table. When Will's friends rise up to defend him, they end up drawing Warren's fury on them. Will gets enraged, and he throws the table Warren is standing on into the air. He throws the table into the ceiling as Warren runs toward him, and he extinguishes his flames with a fire extinguisher. The principal then arrives, and places them both in detention. Will makes every effort to reconcile with Warren, but this isn't just about the two of them. Their fathers are their adversaries, not them. Warren, on the other hand, is still unwilling to make peace with Will. When Will returns home, his father is overjoyed to learn of his son's superpowers, and gives him a gift. In the meantime, the mystery duo plot their vengeance through the eyes of the robot. The next day, Will is transferred to hero classes. In his first class, he gets to work with Gwen on creating a freeze ray. He is, however, terrible with technology, so Gwen uses her skills to construct it for him. He is having lunch with Gwen and her pals, who refuse to let his other friends join, because they are sidekicks. He feels awful, and invites Layla to her favorite restaurant, the Paper Lantern, to make amends. He turns around and witnesses bullies pushing his friends into lockers. So he stands up to them once again, and tries to chase them away. His friends strike a wager with the bullies. If Will wins a game of protecting the citizens against them, the sidekicks will be left alone for the rest of the year. A dummy is put in a dangerous situation, and the bully team is the villain. Will and his companion are the heroes, and they must save the dummy before they get destroyed. He is teamed with Warren, and as soon as the game starts, Will is knocked down by the bullies. He eventually punches the ground, sending the bullies flying. He then quickly ties up one of the enemies, as Warren attacks the remaining villains with fireballs. He tells Will that saving the dummy is the only way to win this game. The other villain, however, starts to run around Warren, who begins to suffer as the villain's power drains his oxygen. Will resolves to help Warren after seeing him in difficulty, and after saving him, he tosses Warren towards the dummy, preventing it from being destroyed. After the game, Will's friends start cheering for him and Warren. When he returns home, he finds Gwen in the kitchen. She then remains for dinner, which delights the entire family. They have a lovely time together. She invites Will's parents to the homecoming dance as honorary guests. Meanwhile, Layla is waiting for Will alone at the Paper Lantern. She's been there for a bit, when one of the waiters approaches her, which is Warren. They converse and get to know one another. Back to Will, he invites Gwen to homecoming, and she accepts. The next day, Will runs into Layla at the bus station. Instead of being upset with him, she intends to invite him to the dance. He tells her that he is going to the dance with Gwen. Layla makes a smiling face, and seems to be happy for him. She then lies to him, claiming she is going to homecoming with Warren. Will is irritated by this news because he regards him as an opponent. Layla, who is upset with Will, sits with Warren at lunch, and tells him they are going to homecoming together. He is surrounded by Layla's pals before he can say much. He agrees to accompany her as soon as he understands how much attending prom with her will bother Will. Will throws a party at his house after school that day, while his parents are gone. He takes Gwen into the private sanctum during the celebration, and as they are kissing, one of the souvenirs is stolen from the backdrop. Layla stumbles across the party and walks into the house, where Gwen chases her out. When Will discovers what happened, he gets enraged, dumps Gwen, and kicks everyone out of his house. After a while, he calls Layla to apologize, but she doesn't respond. He leaves a message for her, inviting her to meet him at the Paper Lantern, but she doesn't show up. He spends the night of homecoming in the secret sanctuary, as his parents attend the dance. When rummaging through his parents' old yearbook, he finds a resemblance between two pupils, and realizes that the ray gun from his father's collection is gone. He asks for help from the bus driver, who transports him to school. Meanwhile, Gwen declares herself to be the most powerful superhero at school. Then she says that she is Royal Pain, Commander's arch-rival. She turns all the superheroes into babies, using the ray gun she took from the secret sanctum. Warren and the sidekicks manage to flee into the vents. Will arrives at school and apologizes to his classmates for being an idiot. He also reconciles with Layla, and they kiss. She and her pals fight their wicked peers in the hallway, while Will pursues Gwen. The girl is holding a newborn commander in her arms, and explains that her name is Sue Tenney, and that she was shunned in sidekick lessons for her advanced powers. She created the pacifier to turn adults into infants, in order to raise them as villains a second time. However, due to the commander and Jetstream's involvement, she became a victim of the ray, and was forced to relive her youth as Gwen. First and foremost, she wishes to destroy Sky High for failing to recognize her talent. She has waited many years to finally be able to exact her revenge. When Will arrives, she slams him through numerous walls. Layla and her friends vanquish their evil peers, but they discover that Gwen has hacked the school's anti-gravity system. This indicates the school will fall from the sky and shatter into fragments. So, if they don't flee, they will all die. The sidekicks collaborate to find a solution. Will is hurled out of a window, and falls off the floating campus during his quarrel with Gwen. He emerges at the window a moment later, flying and utilizing both of his powers. He eventually defeats Gwen. The girl then remotely activates her device, causing the school to collapse. Will instantly flies beneath the school, and uses his superpower to lift it up, but to no avail. Just when the school appears to be going to collide with the ground, his friends deactivate the gadget, allowing the school to regain its anti-gravity capability. Will and his comrades finally succeed in convincing teachers and students to recognize sidekicks and their good deeds. Gwen and her group are arrested and imprisoned for their crimes. The end. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this. Turn on the notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out.